I want to take a look at Bitcoin. So the next big story we're covering is the pump and dump. And I'm calling it a pump and dump, guys, because there is no way that someone didn't buy Bitcoin, then somehow release this fake news and make money on it. I'm just being honest with you. This stuff doesn't just materialize out of thin air with no one having some ulterior motive. Now, Cointelegraph is the one that broke this. I don't know, and again, it broke the fake news, so it's whatever it is. But obviously, this is, and I'm just going to be flat honest. If you go on crypto Twitter, X Twitter, whatever you talk about, there's a lot of animosity towards the SEC and Gary Gensler. And listen, I can understand that. The crypto space wants the freedom. They don't want to be hampered. They don't know the rules to the game of crypto, like what is a security, what's not, what's this, what's that. But at the same time, when you see a move yesterday like this, and it turns out to be caused by news that the fake news, and let me say this again, fake news that basically the Bitcoin ETF, the spot ETF was approved, this is honestly kind of why you need the SEC. You need regulation here. You need to have things in alignment. There needs to be an investigation by the SEC into this to find out who was placing big bets on Bitcoin. And remember, when you're in the crypto markets, you can use like 100x leverage. So you can literally put a very little money up, and if you get the move to go in your direction, you can make millions of dollars off of a very small amount of money. Essentially gambling, but not in this case, because you were, or whoever this was going to filter this news through, or fake news, and get it to pop. Now, what's fascinating about this, and that I'm going to digress from that side of things. And again, bottom line, I will say this, yes, the crypto markets need the SEC, or you need some regulatory body that is monitoring, the crazy house, essentially. All right, so when we look at this chart, though, if we remember yesterday, and this is fascinating, what was my bias yesterday in the game plan? What was the chart telling us? Well, remember we had this right here. We broke below it, but we stayed above this trend line, right? We had this trend line all the way up here, all the way up to these levels, and all the way up there. And what I said to you, especially as we were starting to move back up, and at that point yesterday, we were probably getting back, I think we were back in that range, is that even when we were down here, you still had a positive bias, a neutral to positive bias. Once you recapture here, you then have a positive bias for a target of at least 29,000. Well, what we saw in Bitcoin yesterday is it went to 30,000. Now, it did reverse, and it did come back down, but the point is, again, is that weirdly enough, the chart kind of was telling us that there was still a positive bias on Bitcoin and to expect a move up. I didn't know this move was going to come. Obviously, I would have made a lot of money if I did, but nonetheless, that was an amazing move yesterday. And listen, the spot ETF is going to get approved. But going back to the whole discussion before, the question we have to ask ourselves is, when this happens, when fake news causes, on a $500 billion asset, a move of 7 to 8% in minutes, is it going to push the SEC to approve a spot ETF? Is it going to convince more people to join in and start investing in crypto? Or is it going to hurt crypto? And that's the sad part about this. This was someone out there, and again, I'm not pretending to know who, but this was someone out there that for a gain for themselves ultimately hurt the crypto markets. Because again, if you're a grandma and you're looking at this and you hear about fake news and you see this whip, are you going to be like, oh yeah, let me go open a crypto account? No, you're not. You're going to be like, holy cow, this is shady. Let me stay away. And the same thing with the SEC. Now, do I think that ETF, spot ETF, is going to get approved? Yes, eventually it will. But it certainly doesn't help getting it approved sooner. I will say that. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about there.